Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is Michelle, and who's here with me?
It's JD.
It's JT. It's always
Yay, it's
JD.
me.
We did it right. Good job,
Michelle,
us. Yeah.
we're already an hour and 12 minutes late with this episode, and we haven't even
Hmm.
started yet. What's wrong with us today? I believe you're running around like a chicken with its head cut off, right?
Uh, Mostly, but I would have been ready 3 hours ago. So don't
Hey,
blame it on me, sir.
hey,
Hey,
hey. That's fair.
I'm right.
I had some things I needed to do.
Yeah,
Some of us have
I know.
jobs, Michelle. Wait, that's not the way I wanted this
Well,
to
I
go.
spent 12 hours in the hospital. So,
I know,
you
I
know what?
know,
Not me. No one worry
I
about me.
know.
I'm fine. Mostly.
So
Mentally.
if this is your first time tuning in, hey, thanks, that's cool. What do we
Hmm.
do here on this show, Michelle, that's called We Watch Shudder?
Well, we watched Shudder.
That's pretty much it. Yeah,
That's
if you
it.
don't know what Shudder is, that's not my problem. Google it. It's
Yeah.
probably not the
Get
most
the
polite way to
Googles.
welcome people to the show. Maybe you should be doing this, Michelle.
Oh, okay. Well, hi. We're happy that you stopped by. Have a nice day. Goodbye. Now for everybody who stuck around past that, if and you passed the test, first off, so good job. You're really smart. You knew, like, wait a minute, she's not actually saying goodbye. Like, yeah, no, you're smart. You're great. So we watched Shudder, and today Shudder put out a new movie. This movie is called When Evil Lurks, and as the name implies, we watched it because we watched Shudder. So
Yes,
we
yes,
are going to
yes.
do
That's what we
a
did.
little thing where we do a spoiler free rating, and then we're going to do a spoiler expensive rating where you get all of the bits and bobs that we liked about it.
It's going
Ha.
to be spoiler poor up front and spoiler wealthy on the back end.
Spoiler credit debt, spoiler fuck you money.
Can
Those are
you
the two
guys
sections.
can you guys tell that we have definitely already cleared the recording sweet spot by doing this at 1:15 in the morning? I got a feeling this one's going to be kind of weird, and here's a little peek behind the wizard curtain. We got two more that we got to record yet tonight. Woohoo! This is going to be a good
Yeah.
time. Uh
Yeah, it's going to be a
Michelle,
time.
one bit of business that I do want to attend to right away, because it's been a hot topic of discussion between you and I, and we've been getting a lot of notice on it. Is our episode from a couple of weeks ago about the Puppet Man?
Cupid
Now,
man.
if you recall, we saw the Puppet Man, and I called that a five skull experience for me because I legitimately just screamed, "Whoa, what the fuck!" at my TV several times. I have had a chance to go back and watch the movie again, and I don't want to make it seem like there's anything wrong with it because if you remember from that episode, I didn't necessarily disagree with any of Michelle's points. I just was so caught up in everything. But I saw the movie again. I still think that first time was a five skull experience, and I think everybody should see that movie. But I wanna adjust my overall rating on that movie to a 4
No.
out of a 5.
No.
Why?
Now I have to decide whether it goes on the website or not. The
Well, no,
rule
it
is if it's
doesn't.
a five skull,
No,
it
it
goes on the
doesn't,
website.
because it's not a
But
5
if
anymore.
somebody only listens to the Puppet Man episode
It's not
and
my
never
problem.
this one,
It's not my
no.
problem,
Okay.
Michelle.
I will put it on the spreadsheet as a 4, but it is going on the website. You need to stick to your word.
Oh, so you've never gone back and reserved the right to modify scores, Michelle?
Not on a five skull movie. That breaks things.
That doesn't break
All the
anything,
other
Michelle.
no, all the other ones completely made up numbers. You know what? Fuck it. Mad God gets a -3. See, nobody cares. But as far as whether I have to put it on the website or not, that's a problem. So no.
Well, no, it's not. You just don't put it on the. I
No,
clearly
it has
picked
to be
the
on the
wrong
website.
time to broach this topic. We probably should. I'm just saying, Michelle. Man, let's just move on.
Okay. Well, as far as anyone's concerned, JD gave it a 5 if you only listened to that episode. If you made it to this one, the Puppet Man, he no longer says it's a 5. That's not allowed. But fine, you know what? Rules are fine. Let's just have complete chaos. Anarchy reigns. You know what? I'm just going to go out and shit in the street because there's no rules here. We can do what we want. You know, that Five Skull movie, that's now not a good experience. And I'm just going to change my mind. Anyway, when evil lurks, you know what evil lurks? When people change their Five Skull rating to a lower rating. But also, this movie has some different forms of evil. Not as bad as what JD just did, but it's still pretty bad. When evil lurks. Okay, I'm fine now. I
I'm
got it
gonna
out of my system.
cry.
Good.
I feel like I shouldn't have said anything.
No, of course not. Are you kidding me? Now I'm going to be so upset. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. Rules are fine. You know what? Just go smack that person who bothered you today. They can't call the cops. No rules. Do what you want. Take that uh taco at the grocery store without
I
paying.
thought you said you were done because it seems
I
like
was
you
just
still have some things on your mind, Michelle.
I'm just thinking of like the Purge franchise, but when somebody changes their rating from a five skull to a lower skull.
Well, look, Michelle, ultimately, the reason I had to make this adjustment is going to become abundantly clear if we get into this frickin' episode. So, how about you stop shitting on me
Oh,
about making some modifications to my overall scores? And
scores are made up.
let's just talk about this movie, huh?
Fine.
How about you read the plot description from the Shudder website? Oh shit, no, you can't because they wrote a fucking novel. Thankfully,
Yeah.
IMDb came through in the clutch. What's it say?
It says, in a remote village, two brothers find a demon infected man just about to give birth to evil itself. They decide to get rid of the man, but merely succeed in spreading the chaos when evil lurks. I did read that first sentence as a demon infected man just about to give birth to himself, which maybe.
That
Okay.
would be
Do you want to give
that
your
would
rating
be
first? Should I give my rating first?
no. Well, I think it's painfully obvious now to everybody that my rating on this movie is a 5. This is a fucking brutal movie. It's bleak as fuck. Holy shit. It's I think there's just enough lost in translation in the subtitles that it's also like I know what happened, but there are little specific details that I feel like I didn't get, and that somehow adds to this experience a lot. And this is where I started thinking about Puppet Man. And I don't want anybody to think that I don't think Puppet Man is a great movie. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But a big part of my rating on that experience was that I was just taken away and just yelled at my TV like, oh, holy shit, multiple times. I did that same thing with this movie, but then I considered the points you were making. And I think this overall is a much more successful and better told story than that movie was. And for that reason, I don't think I can justifiably put them on the same level. But god damn, this was hard to watch at times. It's intense. Shit happens out of nowhere. I fucking loved this movie, Michelle.
So a five skull?
Yeah, this is and that again. I it made me think about the Puppet Man because it's been a while since I've just actively yelled "oh shit" at my TV as much as I have in the last few weeks with Shudder.
Well, okay. So, Puppet Man,
Jesus, are we gonna do this
lower score.
again?
No, I'm just saying Puppet Man lower score. When Evil Lurks, five skull from JD.
I love this movie.
Um,
This was fucking fantastic. I look forward to seeing this again.
I understand what you're saying about how you have to compare it to previous movies. I disagree because otherwise nothing will be at the level of Mad God, the first five skull double from both of us. Also, I think lowering your score before kind of puts me in a weird position because I also gave this a five skull. So now we got a double five for the first time in a while.
Hey, that's not a
Five
problem.
skull. Five
That's
skull. It's great. It's
How does that
so
make it weird
good.
though, Michelle? Because even if I had left my score of 5 on the Puppet Man, it still would have been one of the greatest divides we've ever had in the history of the. You know what, Michelle? I've said since day one that my score is about my experience with the movie. Look at you, you're fucking me up now. Leave it a 5. God damn it. God
Well,
damn
that
it.
would also mean that I have to go down a point and give it a point 0.5 because I'm agreeing with you that this is a 5. So our complete like equalization of
Oh,
making sure
so
that everything is stabilized.
if I don't change my score, now you have to change your score. Why is that okay? But when I do it with mine, that's not okay. I don't understand.
You
Everybody
know what
is
else is relative? These two brothers who found a demon infected man who gave birth to himself.
We have run
We are
off
going to
every
get
potential new listener we have already picked up today. Oh
I
my god.
it is always like this.
This is a double
It's
five
not.
for
It
sure.
kind of is. It's a
I
double
kind
five.
of
It's great.
expected it was gonna go that way.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to get into the spoiler section, but I would say that the movie poster for this is a woman axing herself in the face. So
I was
it
about
set
to
the
point
bar
out when we
high.
get into this
Yeah.
that I cannot tell you how many times I looked at that image and it never fucking occurred to me that the blade of the axe was facing her own head. It just
Oh,
never registered. I just saw it and blew right by it. And then when, well, I mean, well, spoiler section coming up, guys. I strongly recommend you go see this. I am gonna put a warning on the website, guys. There's some real heavy animal violence in this. There's some real heavy people violence as well. This is real aggressive, brutal stuff. So be aware of that before you go check it out. It's fucking intense.
well, okay. We're going to get into the spoiler section right now. So
Yay!
spoiler, JD, if you can't tell that axe is facing towards her, then this is probably why you got fired from your job as a lumberjack. They're like, sir, you're doing it wrong. You're endangering everyone, and the trees are not coming down. And you're like, I
I
don't know which
swear
way the axe is facing.
every time I saw it, it just registered in my head that it looked like an image of a woman swinging an axe. And well, since we're in the spoiler section, yeah, we know that's exactly what it is. It just
Woo.
never dawned on me that it was facing her own face, and I was just like, "Oh fuck." Anyway, why don't you give everybody who
Plot
didn't
summary.
bother to go back and watch this their plot summary? You're the best at that.
Yeah. So plot summary. There's two men. Their name are Pedro and Jimmy. And these men are not just men, they are brothers. And the brothers, they go to find a guy who's called a rotten, which seems rude, but it's basically that people in this world are possessed, but in a different way than other possession movies have worked. This is kind of like a half possession, half zombie, half another half because fuck it, it's 1:30 in the morning. So a third half, which is the sadness, lots of goopy details, lots of pus, lots of vomit, very, very icky mess. So they go see this guy, and he looks like he should be dead, and he probably should be. And it turns out that he's possessed, but you can't kill the possessed because then it spreads the possession to other people. But you know what they do? They just pick this fucker up and they drop him off a truck, and now everybody else is possessed. And being possessed means a lot of different things. Like it might mean that your child's head is now in the mouth of a dog, and they're being shaken around wildly in a way that did not hold anything back. But then they'll come back from the dead. That's one thing that might happen. Also, you might be in a schoolhouse full of creepy children who are lying to you. So that's possible. And then they bash your face in with a hammer. So this is why nobody likes school. If you're one of the people who likes school, you're one of the people who liked people getting bashed in the face with a hammer. So think about that for a minute. So yeah, chaos reigns. And then at the end, I guess evil still exists. The possession was not stopped at all. It now has turned into kind of a demon child and is walking around with its demon child friends who are originally humans but are now gross demon children. And also, the one guy's mother was eaten by his son when evil lurks.
Yeah, this movie is heavy shit, man. This it like you mentioned, it is a real interesting spin on a possession concept. How when the person is possessed by the evil spirit, it starts to sort of bloat and rot their body in a physical way, and then Yeah, just that idea of like, oh, it's trying to give birth to an evil, like an incarnation of itself, right, as a person, but you can't kill it except this one specific way, or it's like a very well structured, a very well played out plot. But oh my god, this is a fucking bleak movie, right? Like, there's this really brilliant shot right towards the end of the film, but it's not the last shot you see. I think a more on the nose presentation of this would have made this shot the last shot you see, but just a couple of minutes before then we get it, and it's a shot where everything else has gone horribly wrong. They failed to stop the birth of the demon child. Shit's about to go haywire all over the world. He goes back to his brother and his surviving son, and there's a shot of 3 bullets on the table. And I was just like, okay, that's interesting. And I thought something was going to happen, and then it never happens. But they also make it clear that this is like this is the potentially the end of shit. And you've got the man and his brother and his son, and I thought back on that image of those 3 bullets, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, this movie is so bleak. It's just like shit's gonna be fucked, and you're gonna try and fix it, and you're just gonna fuck it up even more, and then everything's gonna be fucked forever. It was real intense.
Yeah. As you pointed out right before we started recording, and which I did not realize, the writer and director of this did Terrified as well,
Yes.
which is one of my favorite movies on the Shudder platform. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. This guy is really good at doing stuff I haven't seen before. And I've said it before, I will say it again, that if you do something that I haven't seen before, you're pretty much guaranteed to get a good score because all the ideas have happened already. And I'm so excited when I see one that hasn't. And that includes this, like a woman getting axed in the face. And
Oh no,
also that
axing
child being,
herself in the
yes,
face.
yes, correct. And to the point where she can't even axe herself anymore because now she's trying to
Oh,
axe herself, but her motor skills are
let me,
done. They're
while we're
over.
right here, like I just want to like that sequence, like this movie definitely like it doesn't waste any time, right? Like one of the first things you see just a few minutes in is a body that's been ripped in half with its guts laying out. We get to that scene where they see Uriel in the bed, all bloated and rotting, and so on. But we see a lot of like after the fact sorts of things. The first real exchange of, or at least the presentation of on-screen violence that we see hits so hard and then doesn't quit. Right? It's like they're looking at that goat, and the goat's got the weird shit in its eyes, and they know that goat's got the demon, right? The demon is spreading around, and it's in that goat. And the goat walks right the fuck up to him and puts the barrel of the gun to his head like in a fucking mob stand-up or standoff scene or something. Like, and then he gets startled. He blasts the goat's head into pieces. And then you get a shot of him staring, and just with no hesitation, all of a sudden that fucking axe comes in and cleaves his head in half. And then they show the lady, and you don't have barely time to register, and she starts fucking whacking herself in the face with that axe. It's just like, it was just repeatedly just like, Jesus Christ, when's it gonna stop? It was so intense. And I loved how she just like, even as her strength was waning, she like kept trying to swing it. And there's just something about the way it just sort of slowly dies off. I loved just the visual of that. That sequence in and of itself just took me completely off guard, and it was fucking great.
That's just normal goat behavior. They're not very smart. They will just walk up and put their face against the gun and be like, "What is this?" Blah 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 blah.
That was so cool.
Yeah, it was great. And then it continues. Oh man, That dog scene.
Oof.
That
They did such a
dog
smart
scene.
they did such a smart thing putting the thrashing dogs when the dog look, guys, if you didn't watch this movie, literally a sequence, and you see it coming, you know it's coming for a
But not to the
while.
extent that it does.
Right, and this dog turns and bites this girl on the head and drags her off
not
screen.
on the head. Like, her face is in the mouth to the point where she can't scream.
Right, yeah, and drags the kid off, and it was brilliant what they did with the effect here because the dog thrashes its head around and just whips this child's body back and forth like it's trying to break its back and neck and everything, right? Like it's trying to kill it. It's what dogs do when they're trying to break. Anyway, they staged it back behind the table and chairs so that they could sort of hide the seams and the animation, the CGI a little bit, but it's still a clear enough shot that you know exactly what the fuck is happening. Shit was brutal. God damn it.
It's also one of those Texas Chainsaw Massacre things where I don't think it's like, if you rewatch the little bits that we do see on screen, it's probably not bloody or anything. It's just done in such quick shots, and you're watching the kid being horrified by what he's seeing. So when you get just a little glance or hear the sound, it has a much bigger effect.
Yeah,
but
that sequence
people
definitely.
People will be like, "Oh, that was so bloody," and then you go and look, and no, it's not. It's just very fast.
That sequence anyway. There is definitely some fucking splatter.
Oh,
in
I am
this
referring
movie.
specifically to that because there's other stuff like a woman chunking herself in the face with an axe. That does not happen quickly.
That first
it takes a while to chunk yourself.
That first axe hit after it was so rapid fire. I was just punch drunk by the end. But when that fucking axe slams him in the side of the head, I was like, oh fuck, it's on now. Fucking the fucking, and then the girl comes back and everybody's just like, oh, she's totally fine. Nobody's suspicious of this fact, right, whatsoever, right? Because none of them, not. Just us and the little boy, saw what this dog did to this child. And they're just like, oh, she's totally, and then this creepy fucking kid. I can't handle, Michelle, child actors are getting way too fucking good at being creepy as fuck, and I can't deal with it.
I think they're just being true to themselves. They're weird, creepy children. We know about them.
This little fucking girl just looks her mom right in the face and says he's gonna kill it, like he's gonna come home with the car, and she's like, and then boom, it was so cute, but also, and then he fucking annihilates them with that truck. Holy shit! Oh, fuck, man.
It reminds me a lot of so I like zombie movies. That's not a surprise to anybody, especially if you know what I've rated highly. But one of the movies I really like that's not zombies and is more kind of in the vein of this movie is The Crazies. That is one of my all-time favorites too. And so the way that it doesn't necessarily spread to everybody. There are people who seem to be immune, but it's also kind of an invisible virus that can affect people through indirect contact, such as if you have items that you had with you when you were near them. That's why you have to get rid of all of your possessions. That it can then transfer to people that way. And just like the way that this is an invisible way to spread, as opposed to a zombie where you get bitten, you know you're going to turn, and that's how you turn. There's not this mystery to it.
It very much plays out in that sense like the possession is a virus. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Like it has that kind of a vibe where something is being transferred from person to person, but not in a way that people can perceive. And so there's definitely that whole kind of a vibe here. Man, what other kind of fucked up brutality was there in this movie, Michelle? You mentioned
stuff.
When they're fucking dragging that lady away and the kid's just fucking macking her in the face with that hammer. Jesus Christ.
Yep. It's a nice little chunk as well, like just subtle enough to be like, oh, that's not very loud.
Fabulous.
But it's so brutal anyway. Also, not gory, but so fucking creepy. The kid who has autism no longer has autism.
Right?
And the way that they're like, they get or lost in their mind and it takes them a while to figure it out. Ooh, that made me so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And there she's like, look
That
at
was
his
a
hands. I was like, oh God, I hate the hands.
that was a genius original concept. Even
Yep.
just that thought, like, how would a possessing demon or spirit deal with, because it also makes it clear that it doesn't seem to really have a choice on what it spreads to, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just you just get infected, which is another bit of that viral thing. Viruses aren't targeting anybody in particular; they're just going wherever they land. And so yeah, that idea of like what would that experience be for somebody or for a demon to possess someone who has different mental faculties than the average person? Like, what would that be like? I thought that was very interesting, and also the way they presented it as like people have become so used to just tuning out the autistic son's tics and things that they never pay close enough attention to realize that he is kicking out signals the whole fucking movie. I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
really well done.
I like the idea of apple ice cream, and that's why it got five
Yes.
skulls from me. Oh my
How have
God.
I
How
how
is
have I
that such a
never heard of
common
apple ice
thing?
cream?
I love apple crisp with vanilla icing on top, and I hope that's what apple ice cream tastes like.
And that
Oh,
has to
that
be
made me
what that
so
green stuff
excited.
is that they were eating at the end, right?
Exactly. He got his apple ice cream and he got his grandma yogurt.
Yeah, that's oh god, his grandma yogurt.
Different
Oh,
type of dessert. Still great for your body.
I also love how they played that out because they go to the scene in the shed or wherever it is,
Yep.
where Uriel's brother is up in that hiding spot. And asks him how his mother died, and he's like, the same way yours did, but we don't
And
know
I
how we didn't even
completely
realize she
forgot.
was dead.
I forgot
Or
about the grandma because you saw another old lady die. So you're just
yeah,
like, oh, okay. And your brain's like, yep, that was probably the grandma. Two
there,
old ladies?
and
Can't be two of them.
I feel like they knew that was gonna happen
Yep.
because there's a moment earlier in this movie where I think it was the two brothers and the witch lady, or that the younger brother took them out to meet. What was her name? Myrta.
I
Uh,
don't remember
there's a
that
scene
lady,
where
though.
I think it's those three are talking to each other about something, and then just out of nowhere, for no reason at all, they cut to a shot of Grandma just to remind you that she's there. And then, like, I forgot again. I just completely forgot. And then he just starts coughing up Grandma hairballs. What the fuck? Oh my god, it's so
That's just so much food, too.
right.
Like,
And
how did he manage?
like that's I've mentioned before, that's a thing for me. Anything of like way too much stuff constantly going in or coming out of somebody's mouth, that was fucking intense. This movie, I think you mentioned earlier on in the recording, but it definitely pushes a lot of things to an edge, similar to what we saw in The Sadness last year. Like, this movie
Mm-hmm.
pulls no punches. It also gets real dark at one point, because there is a point where Pedro is just so harried and so driven over the edge and it does turn out that the kid is possessed by the infection demon anyway, but he just starts beating this child. Like, this girl
Yes.
child just starts beating the fuck out of her. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, this movie does not fuck around. You mentioned you were a big fan of Terrified. I think I was.
Yes.
I mean,
I
I know.
almost gave it a 5.
Yeah, I was
For sad
not the
ending.
biggest fan of that movie, but I do
So
remember the
good.
thing that will always stand out to me about that movie is that opening scene with the lady in the shower. That's all I'm gonna say, because I don't want to give it away to anybody who.
It's one of my favorite horror movie scenes
And I
of
remember
all time.
seeing that and just being like, "Holy fuck, what is going on? Because it just goes and go. Oh man. Uh, yeah, this was an intense experience. Like I said, I feel like there's a little bit lost in translation in the subtitles, maybe that makes this just a little like. There are moments I'm not 100 like the mythology behind these things. They really trust you to follow along and catch up with what's going on, but they don't. It's not a situation where they tell you nothing. Like they definitely give you everything you need to understand what's happening here. But this is definitely, if you really want to understand what's going on, this is a movie you need to pay a little extra attention to.
I like that they did give us a lot of new rules and
Mm-hmm.
assumed that we could keep up with them. But the way that they introduced them was very smart because despite the grandma in the back seat explaining what the rules are, they very slowly roll them out. So the first one you hear is no electric lighting, and then
Right.
they just keep reinforcing that of like when you go to the house, no electric lighting. When you go into town, no headlights, no electric lighting. So the way that they keep reminding you, right, this is rule one. Remember, now we're gonna give you rule two so that you know how this universe operates without just hearing them all. And then you're like, why don't they turn on the lights? And you forget it was because of a rule earlier. That is very smart. We've talked a lot about the script and just the story in general, but I love the way that the camera work in this is done. The way that they are able to shift
Beautifully shot.
focus, and it's just, yeah, exactly, the way that they'll show you something in the background, like the guy about to shoot the dog, and then that's out of focus, and now you're watching Pedro walking away from that, so now it's
Mm-hmm.
out of focus as he's shooting the dog, but you know that's what's happening.
Right.
Those kinds of things where it's very good at drawing your attention to where it needs to be and then pulling away from it so that you're now forced to look at something else, like the child under the table with the dog.
Right.
It shows you a glimpse, and now we're back to watching the kid's reaction instead. There's just a lot of really smart camera work in this, and I
Yeah.
think that added a lot to the experience. And there's also a lot of like, I would say like shots that you see in zombie action movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also thinking of oh my god, why did I forget the Pedro Pascal, The Last of Us? There's The Last of Us, the first episode I was raving about because it is exactly like the video game where the camera pans into a vehicle and then it switches around as though you're
Oh,
like
nice.
switching your character or your camera while still focusing on the character, and it's a thing I'd never seen done properly in a TV show before, and I feel like this movie did the same kind of thing, and it made me so happy because as he's driving, you see outside his window the woman walking by eating the child's brains, and then the camera swings around kind of in front of the windshield, and now you see her walking behind the car,
Mm-hmm.
and you're focused on him still, and he's still the center of it all. It felt like the video game shot from Last of Us, and I got so excited about those kind of things because normally if you see editing or camera work and you're paying attention to it, it's kind of a bad thing because it's taking you out of this movie and the experience of watching it.
Right.
But I feel like in this, it was so good that I was like, oh my God, my brain was like, did you see that? Did we just see
Yeah.
that? That was great.
Yeah, I feel like with cinematography, like that's the real trick to greatness, right? Is being able to like almost subconsciously make it clear that there is some genuine thought and composition put into the shot without distracting you from the fucking movie, right? Like it can't be
Hmm.
so arch that it pulls you back out. And yeah, this I did just take a quick look here while you were talking, and this is the same guy also who shot Terrified for Damien. What's his last name?
I said this.
Rugna.
Ragna.
Damien
Yeah.
Rugna. Yeah, this is the same guy who shot that movie for him as
Hmm.
well. Yeah, just
Which
beautiful
he
and
did some of these same kind of shots in Terrified. There's one in particular that if you've seen any trailer or anything teasing it, it was the one that they kept using. And it's not going to spoil anything by saying this. I will just say there's a person who runs up to a car window,
Mm-hmm.
and it does this same thing where as that person's running towards the window, they're out of focus and your focus is on the person in the car, but you see movement in the background and then they switch it at just the right moment, and it's terrifying because now that like the name implies, because now this thing that you thought was there is suddenly in clear detail and right there. And so once you pointed out that it was done by the guy who did Terrified, I went, oh shit, okay, that makes sense, because a lot of the things that I love about that movie are it's very similar in how it's shot and the way that it's able to focus on just the right thing and give you the info you need in the background. I love that so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, it's fantastic. And I got to be honest with you, Michelle. So I just, as per usual, I like to come hot off the viewing of the film right into our recording here. And even now, just now, the more I sit and think about this, I really feel like that infection, that sort of viral element of this, is even more prominent than I necessarily initially registered. I started thinking about, like, they say several times in this movie, or at least it's implied, that this is the kind of thing that happens in big cities a lot more frequently, and it's not common at all for it to come out to the countryside like this. And that just, to me, smacks of certain types of diseases, maybe specifically things like HIV and the implications of things there. There is this sort of pseudo-religious element involved with the way they're addressing the problem. But it also, it also is clear that this is a thing that happens, and there's like a government health agency that addresses and deals with this, and all of that makes me feel like I almost want to do some research into like any kind of infectious disease issues that have been seen in Argentina in recent history, to see if there might be a level of that informing this story. But yeah, just the more I sit here thinking about it, the more prominent that becomes, and I find that a really interesting element of this story.
Well, shit, I hope there aren't rotten in the real world in Argentina. Or according to this movie, we're fucked.
Well, yeah, yeah, and then yeah, like it's just goddamn so there's because this dude, everything they do trying to fix things just fucks it up even further and further and further, and it just all goes fucking batshit. Just like lots of kid, like I was taken aback when he swung that car door open and smacked the kid, and then he just gets out of the car. I can't stop. He just fucking whoops the tar out of this child. Like almost to the point where I was like, okay, man, fuck, I get the point. Can we move on? But
No,
yeah,
no, we
just
can't. We gotta watch this guy punch a kid for a while longer. Just going to town.
yeah, it was I don't what other kind of cool violent set pieces and shit have we not touched on yet, Michelle?
I guess we haven't really talked about how Uriel looks when they first show what a rotten looks like.
Yeah, he looks like a fucking 3-day
Like a
bloated river
rotten,
corpse.
dear God.
Like a goiter on steroids, and also mutated by the stuff that made the Ninja Turtles. It's just, and he's oh god, that the makeup, I guess you would call it, job that they did, not just on the weird masses and things growing on him, the tumorous masses, but just like how filthy everything was. Oh my god, I retched at a couple of points when they were moving him off the bed.
Ugh.
Ugh, yeah.
Yep.
This
The
movie
sounds,
on top
you
of
can imagine the smell.
yeah, this
Ooh.
movie on top of being very violent and brutal is also at more than one time real fucking gross. Just super disgusting. He starts
When we
like
did our backrooms,
he starts seeping like green pus out of his mouth at one point. Oh god.
We talked in the back rooms about our preferred way to die in two different scenarios, whether it would be falling to the ground from a very high location or being abducted by a weird creature that you don't understand.
Uh-huh.
And you know what? At the time, I said falling a high distance would be my choice, but there's now a third option, and that is whatever the fuck happened to Uriel. That's how I want to die. Just let me become a disgusting pile of ooze and scare everyone around me. Let me tell you secrets that no one else should know. I'm going to tell you that you should kill me a whole bunch because evil will happen then. And they're going to be like, oh, we can't kill her even though she tells us to. Great way to go out. Uriel is a boss. I'm jealous. I want that to be my demise. Turn me
Okay.
into a puddle of goo.
I'll do my best to turn you into a puddle of goo, Michelle.
Thank you.
I'll do my best to ensure you are turned into a puddle of goo.
Oh, I would love that so much. I just want to live that silly putty life, you know.
Yeah, one of
Just-
my favorite small details in this, and I guess I can't say with 100% certainty, but I feel like it's gotta be. Just again to indicate how sort of small this town and this area is, and how everybody kind of knows everybody. Did you catch on that towards the end of the movie there, when they're at the school? And that kid comes up to the school walking a bicycle or riding on his bicycle, or he's got a bicycle with him one way or the other. Did you happen to notice that that's the same kid that they almost fucking hit with the truck way at the beginning of the movie?
I didn't, but yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, same kid. Which is like that's
That
probably
kid's having a bad day.
that kid is obviously patient zero for the infection in these other kids, right? Like he was there when good old Uriel apparently just like they had the rollover cover and the tailgate up, and still apparently Uriel got chucked out of the back of that truck. But what
Yeah, I mean that's part of how I want to go too. Really slippery. You
right?
think you're gonna drag me out to the field or someplace else and just leave me? Nah, man, I'm a fish. I'm
Like,
flopping
that's-
out of that truck bed.
That's obviously what happened there, right? Is that kid's walking away from almost getting hit. He sees the corpse. He drags the corpse to the school to hide it there, and it just starts spreading from there. Fuck, man.
Love that.
There's some
This is
layers
such a
going
gross
on here.
movie.
Yeah, this was
I hate grossness, but I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was it's heavy. Like again, it's a fucking brutal, violent movie, and it's gross, and but earns, I think, everything it does. I really, really enjoyed this movie, which is the wrong way to say it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I had heard about it from a couple different places, festivals, all that. You know how I'm into reading about stuff and then making myself anxious because I can't watch it for years. But this was one that I had heard a lot of hype about, and you never know if it's going to live up to it. That's one of the hard things about hype. I don't know if you know, but those hype men, sometimes they be lying. But so I didn't know if it was going to be as good.
Flav!
Exactly. Flava Flav doesn't deserve that level of excitement. I'm so sorry to all the Flava Flav clock fans out there.
Wow.
But listen, I like his
Rude.
dating show, and I do like a little bit of his music. But if I heard a hype man being like Flava Flav at like the mall, I'd be like, I don't really need to get up. I'm eating my pretzel. He'll make his way this way eventually.
I was saying
Anyway,
you're straight up racist, simple and plain. Motherfuck you and John Wayne, right?
Oh, I thought you were saying I was racist for disliking Flava Flav.
No,
like,
it's
"Excuse me?"
Flava Flav in that
hilarious.
one Public Enemy song. He's like,
I gotcha.
motherfuck you
Yep.
and John Wayne. Because John Wayne was a racist. I don't know if you guys knew that, but it's true.
Oh, I didn't, but it makes sense. He's a cowboy. If
John
you're a
Wayne
cowboy today,
John Wayne is the furthest
might be fine.
goddamn thing from a real cowboy. Oh my god. Whole country
know.
got
Oh, it's a
sold
lot
a
of
bill of goods with that motherfucker.
okay. Well, I got nothing really left to say.
No,
I was
man.
going to say a thought. I lost my thought thinking
This,
about Flava Flav and his attempts to find love.
Yeah,
Honest fake love.
this movie was a trip. It was a real good time. And if you haven't watched it yet, I'm sorry we told you all the grotesque bits, but I still think you should
Oh,
go.
we definitely left some out. Go
And
watch
also
it. We
the
have not
ones-
gone into
look,
detail.
I can tell you all day long about the lady just out of nowhere fucking lumping an axe right through her husband's skull. but I don't think you'll understand until you see it how really fucking incredible it was. Like, the application of the effects here, the editing is really clever. They give you just enough to see what's going on, and then they pull away so you don't see too many of the seams. I thought it was just really well done. Go check it out if you like just fucking sick, gross things. And tell us what you think. Michelle, we're almost done with Spooktober.
We are. One thing to say before we move off of this is
Uh-huh.
that I did try to go find a comment on Shudder with an opposite opinion of my own, and I can't because everything is either 4 or 5.
Yeah,
And
it's
I know Shudder can probably manipulate, and maybe it's not really a 5 for everybody, but that's all it has for me. I don't have a bad comment, so instead I'm just gonna do my impression of somebody giving a 1 skull review to this
or your
on the Shudder
impression of
website.
somebody giving a movie 5 skulls and then 2 weeks later wanting to revert it to a hey, if I revert
My
it to
name's JD.
if I
That's my
revert it
impression
to
of
a
that
4.5, will that make it a little easier
Nope.
on you? God damn it.
Nope. No, it will not. It's okay. It's going on the website. I'm not taking it down
Look,
because that's why I
ultimately-
justified myself being so mean about it.
Look, Puppet Man, if you want to blame anybody, blame When Evil Lurks. It's their fault.
Yeah. So my comment that I have made up in my head for somebody giving it a 1 skull, stupid woke liberal trash, not worth watching. In another language, there's a woman in it. 1 skull.
There's a woman in it.
I ain't wrong.
Oh, no, you're not. You are definitely not wrong. Guys, we got 2 more Spooktober shorts coming up. We got a special one tomorrow. We'll be talking about some interesting, like a subset of short films. Make sure you tune in for that. If you've seen the schedule, you already know. Then don't forget, we got next week, we have Hell House LLC Origins. Carmichael Manor is dropping on Halloween. That's Tuesday. We're going to be talking about that one right away as well.
And you have to watch 3 movies before.
Yeah,
then.
I still have to watch all 3 of the previous Hell House movies. I've seen the first one once, but I want to be all caught up on it again. I've seen so goddamn many movies this month already, Michelle, and I'm not complaining by any means, but holy shit, it's been a month. We're going to have some
Earlier this
fun
week-
stuff to talk about when the recap comes in.
Yeah. Earlier this week, I watched 7 Saw movies in a row, back to back.
Only
no
7?
breaks.
Because one of us watched
Only 7.
9.
No, I saw all of them this month. I only watched 7 of them back to back with no breaks.
Oh, well.
And that gave me a lot of opinions that I'm looking forward to talking about in the recap episodes because I have a lot of thoughts about Saw now that I already had, but it hits different when you watch 7 movies in a row back to back, and now Saw is your entire life for the day. I have a lot of thoughts, so I think we're gonna have to drop a bonus episode. JD and I have talked about a couple things.
Yeah,
maybe a certain guest will come on.
Yeah,
I
we
have to
got
ask
some
them
bonuses
if they want
coming
to.
up.
Yeah, I have so much to say about Saw, so tune in to that.
Oh, holy
I
shit,
will get
Michelle.
ranty, guaranteed.
Michelle, we're already at 48 minutes on this episode, and we still got 2 episodes to record. Please say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.
We Watch Shudder is a production of Rat Factory Media, your home for all of today's Rat Factoryist podcasts. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests of We Watch Shudder are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Rat Factory Media. But wait, aren't Rat Factory Media and We Watch Shudder the same people? Shut your cake hole, Charlie. Nobody asked you. We Watch Shudder is available free on all major podcast platforms, and the easiest way to support We Watch Shudder is also free. Just leave a rating and review on your platform of choice. Merge your consciousness with ours on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We're at We Watch Shudder on all those social media platforms. Or find us the old-fashioned way, on the web at WeWatchShudder.com or by email at mail@WeWatchShudder.com. Heck, you can even leave us a voicemail at 701-566-9510. No, seriously, 701-566-9510. Try it if you dare.